Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Unafraid Show. I am your host, Jay Lavelle, and I know I usually ramble a little bit at the beginning of every episode, but we have some really special people here tonight, and I'm going to just jump right into it. Feet first or head first, whatever it is we decided that's called. But do you two want to introduce yourself?
Sure, go for it, Laura. Yeah.
All right. I'm Laura Barris, and I've been on this podcast before last year at some point, so maybe some of y'all will remember me. I'm underscore just at I am underscore just underscore lore on Twitter. There we go. I am a project manager, volunteer coordinator, organizer, I guess. I am there to make sure that things happen the way that they should. And I am working on the Trans Family Network with Michaela and two other wonderful people. Yeah, that's my short introduction. Oh, any all pronouns. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Laura. I know that the any all pronouns really got me last time we talked. I was super confused, so you had to set me straight on that, but I appreciate that.
It's super easy. Use whatever you want. If you want guidance, use whatever makes you most uncomfortable, because that's going to bring me joy. But otherwise, just knock yourself out. There's no way to misgender me. So
Excellent, excellent. You're bulletproof now. I love that. Michaela, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. This is my first time on here, but it's just wonderful to finally meet up. I'm Michaela. My pronouns are she, them, and I am a engineer slash advocate slash Twitter person. I kind of just like bop around and do a lot of things. My current project is the Trans Family Network with Lore, and as they said, two amazing other people. And my function is sort of like I honestly don't know sometimes. Like I do a lot of coding, I do some planning, I do brainstorming, like I connect people. I kind of like the Swiss Army knife. Yeah, a little bit of everything. So I have a lot of excitement for the project, and I'm glad to be here.
That's awesome. Well, and you've both mentioned the Trans Family Network, and that's why we're here doing this show tonight. Please tell us what the Trans Family Network is and why it exists.
Michaela, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
So the Trans Family Network was created, started out with a simple spreadsheet, actually. The originator of this idea, Lyra, in the face of the new Texas legislation that we had seen on Twitter that, everyone was talking about and everyone was like rightfully very angry about. I saw her tweet saying a spreadsheet on if anybody like needs legal like advice, like a friend to talk to, like help, and you're in Texas and you're scared right now, like put your name on the sheet. And if there's volunteers that like might be able to like help give any sort of like emotional guidance or what have you, put your name on this other column. And like we could like maybe get a support group going. And I saw that. I was like, that's amazing. I love it. This could be so much better. Like this could be like so much big. Like and my brain just like started going because I was like yearning for a way to help too. So I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I have ideas. And she's like, that's amazing because somebody else also just messaged me having ideas. So we all ended up having this whole big chat, started making this idea of a really well thought out, professional, safe way to connect trans people in need with folks that want to help from anywhere in the country. And I was like, Laura would be an amazing person to have on this team. So like inside of 2 days, I was like, Laura, hey, I'm reaching out and I have a job, like a secret agent movie.
You wrote me and you were like, "Hey, I have a question or two for a project I'm doing. Can you help me with that?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. You can ask me some questions." And then you asked me the questions, and then I talked at you for an hour and wrote a 2-page document, and that's how I became part of the team.
That was it. It was perfect. It was perfect. So that's how it started. And the organization is really just Laura can explain it more, but it's really just a way to like really connect people that want to help the trans community with trans people that do need that help, instead of just sort of donating money to sort of an opaque organizational force. You don't really know what's happening with it. And this isn't just about money, right? So like this can be a lot of different things.
Well, and that's I think for a lot of us, it's we're hesitant to donate to these organizations because, like you just said, we don't know where the money's going exactly. You never know if it's actually going to make it all the way down the line to the people who actually need it, which is what I think is phenomenal about this. I mean, it's really a peer-to-peer type organization, but yeah, Laura, tell us some more, please.
I think what you just said already is really important. Like, there's some amazing organizations out there who do big projects and who need funding, right? Like, if you look at the ACLU, if you look at Lambda Legal, if you look at Equality Texas, the Trans Education Network Texas, just to name some specific ones in Texas as well. I encourage everybody to donate to those organizations. Like, I don't think, like, we're not trying to compete, and we're not trying to say give us money instead, because those organizations are super, super important. But they don't fill a specific niche that we saw and that we're trying to fill, which is I want to help a specific person, right? I don't want to just give money and then feel good about myself. I want to know where it's going. Or even more importantly, I don't have money. Like, I'm broke as hell. Most of us are, right? There's this joke, trans community, there's $60 that have been circulating for 15 years. And we just pass it on over and over and over again because all of us are broke and all of us need money. But, you know, like, I have a couch here. We have space in our house. I have, you know, experience with a lot of things. I can do peer support. I have a car. There's a lot of things that we can give, but there's no real way to connect us to people who need that specifically. And that's like, I'm saying that as somebody who's very well connected, but there's a lot of cis people who are like, oh, well, I want to help, but what do I do? Right. And so the idea is that you don't find people who need help. You just offer what you want to help with. You say, I have this. You say, I have a room that I can give out. I have an apartment that I'm renting out and it's empty right now. I can give it to somebody who is trans because I know how difficult it is for a trans person to find housing. I have experience dealing with, like, cross state line moves and I can help you with that. Or I don't know, whatever you want, basically. You just offer what you have, and trans people can, again, instead of having to be like, well, what's out there, you can just say what you need. We're going to meet you where you say what you need. We're not going to start with, this is what we can offer. You just tell us what you need exactly. And the next step is we put all of that together in a big database where we look at exactly what we have. So we collect information specific to your needs and to your resources. And then we connect them in this database, and then we connect the two people within our app. For now, it's email, but the in-app connection and messaging is coming very soon. That's one of
I'm working on the inter-app chat
now.
system right now, coding as we speak. So stay tuned.
So if I I was gonna say, if I get on the site and I'm doing my onboarding right now, I mean, obviously we're not right this minute, but in the onboarding is pretty extensive. There are a lot of questions to answer. There are a lot of things to write out to make sure you're getting the right fit and that you're the right fit for the organization. I would assume, but
yeah,
you know, if I went on there and I said, okay, you know, I have one bed in my house that's free. You know, and I tell that to the website. I post that on transfam was it XYZ? I'm looking at XYZ.
.net.
Both.
We have a few different new URLs. It's for load balance. It's like a security thing. But the main one is transfam.net.
Okay, gotcha. So if I submit that information that, hey, I have this bed and I'm willing to let someone use it, what happens at that point? Are you shuffling through all the numbers and people to try to connect me with somebody?
Yeah. So the goal, there's a goal and there's where it is right now. So this is only this organization is probably like 3 weeks old at this point. So a lot of the computer backend stuff isn't necessarily fleshed. So I'm going to be working on a lot of those sort of backend stuff once we get the chat portion done. Right now, we're trying to match people that, like, manually, like, we're going through the database. We're saying, okay, this person seems to be offering exactly what this person needs. Let's send both of them an email. We're going through and, you know, even trying to help folks that we see, you know, with monetary donations and stuff. So we're like sort of doing a manual pairing process right now. The goal, though, is to be able to handle a large number of requests and support in a way that is extremely quick, but also incredibly inclusive. One of the things we wanted to make sure we didn't turn into is having to sort of fight at the phenomenon of having to sort of try to sell yourself to get help, right? Like if you think about GoFundMe's, if you think about trying to post links, people, a lot of trans folks are forced into doing things like that and trying to get people to spread these links. But the problem is, the algorithms in social media are inherently biased against trans women of color, for example. Like it's hard to get traction for certain groups. And B, it's very stressful. It feels very, in my opinion, sort of dehumanizing to keep having to try to put yourself out there just to get help. So the goal is to match the person who needs help with these parameters that we're asking. And our form is so detailed because it's getting a lot of information about the nuances as to what you can offer. And we're going to try to find someone that as closely matches those nuanced needs as possible for you. So you're getting someone who needs exactly one bed for exactly 1 month, instead of, there's no uncertain terms and someone can go and hopefully get exactly what they need right away. So that's
Okay.
the dream.
And what are the different, oh, I'm so sorry, Laura, go ahead.
I think what I wanted to add is doing it manually right now has a big advantage, and that is that we are able to construct the algorithm that's going to take care of it later based on the experiences we have right now, right? So going through them and fielding them and connecting people manually is also a learning process where we learn how to best do this so that then we can teach the machine who's going to take over our job eventually to do it right. I think that's an important part. So like even if we had 25 coders, we would still have to first sit down and do it manually in order to learn exactly what we want to do and how are we going to do it. But yeah, long term, it's going to be an algorithm. It's going to be very transparent as in how it's weighting things and how it's connecting and how it's prioritizing, because we don't want people to feel like, oh, I dropped this in there and then they just ignored me. So it's going to be very clear what decisions are being made in the background in order to get you the help that you need.
Okay. Well, and so in this is a hypothetical, but in real life, I am a trans person, and I'm not in need of anything right now. But if I were in need of something, if I, bus passes or whatever it happened to be, to get to work, and I signed up with the Trans Family Network. And I'm in this database now. Am I safe there? Is there something to protect me from, the quote unquote bad guys that might be out there trolling and looking for people to, to take advantage of? Am I safe?
Yeah, and
to me. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you go for it first.
Okay, sure. So part of why we choose to set it up like this is because we don't want to list needs and offers, right? There's no way for you to see the list of who is offering something or who is needing something. There's no way for you to look for a specific person. We connect you with somebody that fits based on what you said, but there's no way for you to say, well, I'm looking for a person who is X, Y, and Z. So that's a first step where your information will be in an encrypted, safe database on our end, but we're not going to share that with anybody. We're just going to connect to people based on the information that we have and then say, okay, so now you figure things out. So if you give us specific details, we're not even going to send that to the person that you're connected with. We're going to connect you and say, you two fit. And now you can talk to each other and figure out whether you can help each other or who can help whom. The in-app messaging is important for this as well, because it means you don't have to give a contact detail in order to talk to somebody. You can get a first vibe check of how does this feel? Do I feel comfortable with this person, based on just a conversation where they will not be able to find you afterwards if you don't tell them, hey, by the way, this is my Twitter. The information on the technical side, probably Michaela can say more about that, how we protect the information that you give us. But we also, one of the main rules that I've applied for when I was writing processes for this is we need to collect the least amount of information possible to have the biggest possible impact. So we don't ask you for your address. We ask you for the closest major town, because that gives us a pretty good idea of where you are more or less without ever giving us a detailed idea of where exactly you are. We're trying to collect data that is relevant while at the same time being very, very clear about not collecting data that might be cool to know, but is not necessarily relevant to what you're doing.
So this isn't data that you'll sell to another company or another party at some point, right?
Oh, not
Never.
at all. Not at all.
You also have control over your data to the point where if you register something, you always have the ability to edit what you've registered. You have the ability to delete those things. And if you delete your request, we're not keeping them. You have full access to that. If you delete your request, it gets deleted from our database and we will not know about it anymore. So you always have full control over the information that you give us, and you always have the opportunity to take it back, and we're not going to copy it anywhere else or save it or sell it. But Michaela knows more about the technical aspect of how that's done. I just know the politics about it.
I think that's something that some people might worry about. People who have maybe been taken advantage of in the past and want to make sure that doesn't happen to them in the future, especially very vulnerable people, which as trans people we are.
Yeah. That is we've been talking about that since the very beginning, honestly, in our team. And because it's such a big deal, like that's the most important part of this. We need to do our due diligence. And part of the reason the form itself is so detailed and intensive is to sort of weed out folks that could be bad actors, right? When you're asking all of these detailed questions, what does this mean to you? Why do you want to do it? What can you offer? You can pretty quickly sort of see when someone is just answering them to answer them, or if their answers sound incredibly weird, and you just like get a weird, like, what's this about? And so we could look into that, right? And we're also going to be making, obviously, a flagging system. If anyone feels unsafe for any reason, they could flag the chat. The user gets flagged. We will look into it and take the appropriate action. People can be disconnected on request. And then once you are, unless you've personally shared that information, there's no way for them to find you again. We're not going to, have someone's profile, all of that information be available to whoever you match with. This is very much you're only going to give what you're comfortable giving. Everything else is black boxed and isolated on a server that we've made sure is defended from DDoS attacks and is load balanced and all of the different computer security things that we're trying to make sure to do. We're not storing it on our computers. We're storing it on an encrypted cloud. So it's nowhere else but there. So we're not going to be moving it or making weird secret backups and stuff. So the goal is really just to get people help. And the idea would be then they don't need, the idea is for as few people to need this as possible, right? But obviously that's not the world we live in. So we want to make it just super easy for someone to make an account, get the help that they need. And then if they want to keep going, that's great. If they want to help, that's great. But if they want to delete their information and just move on, like that's awesome too. And they can do that. So,
Well, and sorry, Laura, I keep starting to say something and it looks like you're gonna say something. Go ahead.
I always have things to say. It's fine. Just keep talking.
Well, I wanted to kind of move into the website yourself, and I have it pulled up on my iPad above the computer, but of course right now it just says enter your email. But I found logging into it was extremely easy, logging into transfab.net, especially because you have the sign in with Google feature, which is probably my favorite thing ever. It used to be sign in with Facebook until now I'm too old for even Facebook. But I absolutely love that. And there are tons and tons of questions to find out more about me when I'm on there and what I can offer and what kind of things I like. And I'm pretty sure it asked me about my first animal, my first pet, something like that. I mean, a lot of good information. But one thing I did want to ask you about is for the people that are giving or donors, what are you calling the people that give on the website?
Supporters.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry. For the supporters, what are the different types of goods or offers that we can give to someone? What can we offer to support them? What are the categories? Boy, I kind of bumbled my way through that statement, but I feel like maybe you know what I'm talking about now.
So we're starting with like a large sort of suite of what you can offer. And again, like this is a very evolving thing. If people have ideas and stuff they might need and add, we can always add more. But right now, and Laura, correct me if I miss any, right? So we have monetary support If someone just literally needs money for a bus pass, money to get them through the week, etc. Emotional support. There's a lot of folks that might just sort of need a friendly face to talk to, someone maybe who's been through it before, just to feel like they're not as alone. Support in that way. Transportation. So if somebody either needs to get out of a certain household or environment or city, whatever, and they need help moving, or they don't have a car, right? Like if somebody has a van or a car and they're like, hey, like if somebody needs to drive, in this major city somewhere, I can offer that. That's something that you can offer as well. We're also looking into sort of different legal advice, though not binding legal advice, more like an informal advice from folks that might be professionals in a certain field that's relevant for trans folks, right? Either the legal profession, maybe folks that could help find trans affirming medical care, doctors in the area, people that might need that, as well as housing, like we talked before. And I think that's everything. Laura, did I miss any?
No, I don't think so. There's one category we call local support, and a lot of what you said already fits into that, like the doctors in the area. But it could also be things like, hey, I am moving with my family from state A to state B. I can't really show up there before. It's a short-term move. But, I need somebody who goes to the school to talk to them about us coming. Or like if they need help with like, before we get there, or if you say, I'm going to get to the city and I don't know anybody there, can you show me around? Can you show me what your favorite place is? So it can be very much also just local support of, I know my area, like I live in Grand Rapids. If somebody says, hey, I'm moving to Grand Rapids, can you show me around? I could say, yeah, sure, no problem. I can literally just be your tour guide for a day. I can host you for a night or like buy you dinner or whatever. So it's, yeah, we have financial, legal, emotional, and local support, and then transportation and housing.
Well, and I think some people listening might think that those things sound small, or they might not be that big a deal, but they are a huge deal. Those are things that we desperately need, but you don't always think of someone needing that and until maybe you're connected with that person. I think that's, I mean, we just very recently were unfortunately pulled into a domestic situation that we didn't want to, and our whole role was we needed to go and drive someone someplace to help out, and like, we could do that. It cost us nothing but a couple bucks in gas, and it's like, okay, well, I could do that for people. That's not that big a deal to me, but for them that could be a lifesaver. So I think that's incredible.
That's kind of the in some ways frustrating thing about what we're doing is our goal is to get people the bare necessities. We're not trying to like pay a penthouse for somebody. All that we're trying to do with this, and there's a massive need for it, is the very basics. It's how do I get to work? It's I need somebody that I can talk to who's not going to dismiss what I have to say. It's I don't want to be persecuted by my government. It's very, very basic things. I don't want to get wet when it rains and I'm sleeping, right? These are the very basics that we're trying to get people support for, because that's what's needed in our community. And so for a lot of people, these things are, given. These are not things that they have to worry about. But for way too many in our community, these are things that are daily worries. And so for them, getting connected with somebody for whom it's not a big deal can change their life. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so where do you see the Trans Family Network going? What's kind of your vision moving forward with this? Because you were pretty tight-lipped about what was going on, and Michaela, I didn't follow you online, but Laura, I knew nothing about it until all of a sudden, boom, it was happening, and I was like, holy crap, how did you create this? Because it's really impressive. Where is it going to go from here?
Yeah. Can I just say how much I love everyone on our team, and just how dedicated and how much we all care. We were on video calls till 3 a.m. looking at font templates and going through the.
We started this 3 weeks ago. The reason you didn't hear about this before isn't because we were tight-lipped. We were not tight-lipped. Yeah. We were first too busy to talk about it because we're doing it, and second, because when we launched, we had been working on this for 12 days. Yeah. And when I say 12 days, I think I made a tweet at some point. We have over 240 hours within 12 days in this project across 4 people. It was very much just say, we need to do this. Well, what's the earliest we can launch? Friday. Oh, fuck. Okay. Well, let's put 14-hour days in. And yeah, Michaela, we sat here until 3 a.m. talking about specifics and making things work.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I ran out of my day job to fix the website. Like everyone was working on launch day, just like
at launch, you were fixing the website from the parking lot at work.
Yeah, because something was like wrong with the thumbnail, and I was like, "Oh no!" Like we're launching in 30 minutes, so I like threw on my coat. I was like put my phone as a hotspot, and I'm just like in my car, just like type.
So what is the lesson here? That if you need something critical done, you get gamer girls to do it.
Yeah,
they get it done.
Yeah, I also want to like a special shout out to Jalen, who's been doing most of the technical aspects, because she put incredible amounts of work. She took off work for like, was it a week or 2 weeks? 1 week?
I think she just got back to work. She took off for like most of this time. Actually.
Yeah, she took off work for most of this time using her time off so that she could focus on this. She built the app. She built a ton of infrastructure on the background. The reason the app is as nice as it is and as smooth as it is and as relatively bugless at this point is because that girl has put incredible amounts of time into this, and also she's just brilliant.
Insane.
So good.
So good.
But to answer your question, my long-term goal is that we shut down eventually because we don't need this kind of thing anymore. That's my long-term goal, right? We shouldn't need a trans family network. This should be completely obsolete. Nobody in our community should be in a position where they have to go online to ask for help from strangers in order to have safe housing. That's horrible. I'm going to let Michaela say the medium to mid long-term goals. My long-term goal is that at some point I can just delete the server and like delete the app, and this whole thing can be part of our history and not part of our present anymore.
Yeah, that is the goal, right? And we want to see our user base on the hero side, on the folks that need help side, dwindle to nothing. Like that's the goal, right? But in between that, to like help us get there, one thing that we mathematically, right, the thing that we really need is we need a huge surplus of supporters, because our goal is if somebody needs help, they don't have to wait a long time to get that help. We want this to be like really fast. If you need to get out, like you can get out. We don't want you hanging in the algorithm and hanging in the database for like a week, 2 weeks, because there's no matches for you, right? So it is really important that we really like push this to allies, to trans folks that don't need help but really want to other members of the LGBT community, like, because we need a lot. And hopefully, right, like you might offer your support but not get anything, but like in a way that's a good thing, because that means we have way more folks than we need, which is perfect. But to cover all of our bases, like we really need that. So I think our goal is to get a very, very large supporter base with respect to the needs that are coming in our things, right? We always want to have like a very large ratio of that. Be as visible as possible, and really try to access communities that really need help. We don't want anyone to get left behind, or because they might not have access to this infrastructure, right? So we really want to make sure everyone that needs it will have it there for them.
Yeah. And it's easy to get into it. You don't need to know anything about trans people. You don't need to know trans people. Anybody can sign up there and offer help. Like I'm going to be talking about this at my church on Sunday. Like I'm going to be there and tell the congregation during the sermon, being like, hey, by the way, this is something that I'm doing, and I need all of you to go to that link and I need you to sign up. Most of them don't know other trans people outside of me and my fiance, but that's not really the point, because we're all just humans who need basic things, and that's something everybody can help with. So I think, yeah, like just sharing it as widely as possible to get that data, that like big pool of support in, is the most important thing. Because like if you have a couch that's empty, you can have your offer in there for 6 months and it doesn't cost you anything. But maybe in 6 months somebody's going to show up and say, oh, I need a couch in West Michigan, and then suddenly it becomes relevant. On a app and what we're doing base right now, the big project is in an app messaging. We're working with a bespoke app, which means that everything is built by us, but it also means that it takes some time to build things because we don't have a lot of people yet. We're going to start working with volunteers by the end of this week or like the weekend. So we're going to have more people come in who can help us. We're going to build as much as possible, a extensive resource database that people have access to, so that instead of just being like, hey, I need help with this, we can also say, oh, you're looking for a organization that can help you with X, Y, and Z in this, like, I don't know, in Spencer, Nebraska. Sure, we have something for you. So there's going to be a lot more on that front. That's something we're going to use the website for. What else are we working on right now?
So yeah, the in-app, the support stuff, the actual math and the way that the back end of how people would be matched without our human intervention. That's something that I'm gonna start cracking away at once I finish the app set, which I'm actually very excited about. I took a course in algorithms and math and like linear algebra, like in college, and I've never used it. So I'm like really excited to like use it, figure out what variables we get to maximize. Like I'm going to have a field day. I'm going to have so many like whiteboards and stuff to show to people in a few weeks. So yeah.
Well, I'm really, really excited to see where this goes. And I'm so happy that, kind of everyday people can finally do things to help others that are in need. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, yeah, this is something I'd really like to get involved in, it's transfam.net, and that's TRANSFAM.net. And like I was talking about, the sign in is really fairly simple. I would plan, give yourself a little bit of time to do it. That way you can answer all the questions and not feel rushed. But I'm really excited about it, and I'm really hoping that we get to where you want to be, Lore. But that's going to be a long time coming. So for the time being, I hope that we can just get a lot of supporters on here to help those that are in need. So thank you. You're both brilliant.
I want to really quickly add,
Thank you.
You can work on your sign-in later as well. You can sign up right now. You can start your registration process. You can come back to it later. It's not something you have to do at once. So just go there and sign up. That's just email and password, and then you can come back for the rest later. But then that means you've started, and you can come back to it once you have more time for it. And the other thing I want to say is like we're also just everyday people. Like all four of us are everyday people who have specific skills that aren't necessarily this specifically, but we kind of just made it work because we wanted to make something work. So there's plenty of organizations that need volunteers, some bigger, some smaller. There's plenty of local LGBT organizations that need help sometimes. If you want to do more than just be on this app, you can get engaged anywhere. We're looking for volunteers. Every other organization is looking for volunteers. There's a lot to be done besides supporting directly, where you can also donate your time.
It's true.
Thank you
I
so
mean,
much.
and I just want to just say super quick how wonderful it feels to get involved, right? Like, I don't think anyone like. It's very difficult to describe how amazing it feels to volunteer and like fight for a cause that you really care about unless you've done it. Like it's very, very hard to describe that sense of fulfillment, and like you can actually make a difference. And you don't need to be a coding whiz. You don't need to be super good at algorithms. Like you just need to care. Right. And that's really the core of this entire thing is like you just need to act on your care and act on your emotions in that way. So thank you so much for having us on, though. This was wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great talking to you both. Thank you. And I hope you all learned something. I hope that you're excited about getting involved in this organization. If you have any questions or want to chat with any of the people involved with this, how do people go about doing that? Do they do that right through the website, or should they find you on social media?
Yeah, you could do the website. We have a contact form on social media. My handle is it Michaela at IZZIT, and then my first name, Michaela, MICHAELA. Feel free, DM, reach out to me on there. I'm very social. So I love talking to people all the time. So that's fine.
Yeah. You can also follow us on social media for the organization. It's just TransFemNet. So at eventually Facebook, TikTok. I don't know. Bill, we need a social media manager. If you're a social media manager who wants to
Yes,
help us,
please
please
help
let us
us.
know, because I hate this shit. Like, I don't want to do it. Please come and help us. Yeah, you can find me at I'm_just_lore on Twitter. DMs are always open. Happy to chat. I want to plug 2 more things really quickly before we end. One is my Trans Peer Network, which I talked about last time I was here. That's still a thing. We are currently doing a trans mass membership drive. So until the end of April, we are especially encouraging trans masculine folks, trans men, and also anybody who is Black, Indigenous, or a person of color to join. Everybody else will have to wait until May. We have a bunch of exciting projects planned for that as well. And that's more of a place where you are just around other trans people. You can socialize, you can get some peer support, have a nice time, etc. And if you want to do something else to get involved and you want to actually protest and you're angry and you want to get that anger out, check out tearitup.org. This is an organization that is a decentralized organization for all of the US and Canada right now, where we are organizing protests. There was a big one in Austin last weekend that was organized through Tear It Up. We are planning plenty of organizations and plenty of events in different cities across the country for Trans Day of Visibility, and there's a lot more to come. So if you want to actually get involved in actions, in organizing, in protests, and all of those things, check out our website there, because that's the place to go if you want to know what's happening around you.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. That was good. I liked it. You really you focused and got that out. All right, we're going to wrap up for today, but you two, again, thank you so much for coming on. It was great. And yeah, and thank you for everybody here for listening. Yeah, it's so good to talk to everybody again. So
yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Until next time, stay safe and stay strong.
Bye.
Bye.